All right, what is going on? Welcome to the inaugural Jaybird and the Ginge show.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
Caw.
We have made it officially on YouTube. We'll be famous within the next 24 hours. I don't have any doubt.
Yep. Week delayed, but came in here.
When we get overseas, we know we'll have made it because when India starts downloading, it'll just pour in.
Yeah.
We're gonna hire some banks of people and just have them subscribe to our podcast and our channel. And
famous people, famous. Definitely
so,
famous.
The premise of this show is going to be based on sports and music. There's going to be a little bit of humor involved. Not much. I wouldn't expect it today, at least.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've met Jay. I've never actually seen him before. We're not in the same room, so it's going to be hard for us to be able to have any chemistry, but it was an idea we had to do this show. We do the podcast Fortress of Solid Dudes with some other guys, and we give them a little plug here. But this show is going to be a little bit different than that. We're going to focus on stuff that Jay and I kind of grew up with, sports and music, and try every week to give a throwback to some of the stuff we like.
Even though we didn't, this is the first time we met.
Yeah, we never actually met.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I don't know what he likes. I know what I like, so we'll wing it.
So, this little intro is my name's Noah, and beside me is Jay.
Yep, Jaybird. Caw.
I'm the Ginge. So, let's get into our topic this week. We're going to do football. It's the end of the season in the NFL. There's a lot of important games that are going to take place tomorrow. When you guys hear this, it'll be today, but we're recording on a Saturday, so we're going to have a little bit of a delay with what the results are, so we're going to give you some predictions of what we might think might happen.
Yep, and all this is our own opinion. So
it's probably wrong, but
you can take our advice. But
that's what the pay is for. So the first game I think we're going to be really interested in is the Ravens and the Steelers games with the AFC North battle.
Yeah.
Our title on the line. The Ravens play the Browns, and the Browns are really hot right now. Baker Mayfield wants to finish the season with 8 wins and 7 losses and a tie.
Couple W's on there.
Yeah, a lot better than how they fared last year in Cleveland. And the Steelers play the Bengals, but the Steelers are coming off a really tough loss in New Orleans.
Yeah.
I don't know how they bounced back after that. They should have won that game about 4 different times, and they lost it on a fumble by Juju Smith-Schuster in the fourth quarter, about 30 seconds left.
Hey, things happen like that.
So, Jay, what do you think is going to happen in the Ravens-Browns game?
Ravens-Browns games, I mean, the offensive line for the Browns got to probably hold off like the defense of the Ravens. That's the number one defense in the NFL right now.
They are good.
And they know how to pressure. I mean, Baker Mayfield, this is going to make or break him right now. I mean, I know he's a rookie, but he's going to learn off this game, most likely.
I think the Ravens get into the playoffs, and they have to win. If they lose, they need the Steelers to lose to still win the title for the division, so I'm pretty sure they're going to go out there and try to win the game.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson's been as exciting of a rookie quarterback as Baker Mayfield's been. He may not be as proficient of a passer, but he's definitely capable of winning games. And I think the Ravens' recipe for winning a game is about as strong as it gets when you go into the playoffs with a really strong run game like they have.
Yep.
And the run game's been the best in the NFL since Jackson's first start. And the defense that they have, that's a lot like Chicago in the NFC. I think once they get into the playoffs, they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. They'll get a home game in week 1 in the wild card round. And that game may end up being against the Chargers or the Chiefs. Yeah. So they'll have a pretty tough test. That'd be an exciting wild card round game.
Yeah. I mean, I talked up their defense a lot, but their offense is actually looking pretty good, even with Joe Flacco out.
Yeah, well, they didn't play well under Flacco this year, and I think they've seen a steady decline since they won a Super Bowl with him.
Yeah, they're running a different offense, especially with the quarterback that can run, rush, and pass.
It's the closest thing to Mike Vick we've seen, I think. Yeah. So Lamar Jackson gets a good, has a good head of momentum. The Ravens do in general. I think they win the division.
I think, if the Browns can shut him down on the run game and actually hold him to at least 4 yards a carry, then I think they could actually get it.
Okay,
I mean, they're gonna make him throw. They got Browns have young defense, so like their cornerbacks are gonna be put to the test at this point because you got. On the Ravens side of the offense, you got Michael Crabtree, which is really good wide receiver. But
he's capable
right now.
Well, I think what we've seen with Jackson is that they're relying a lot more on that spread option where they're going to run the ball 75% of the time and throw when they have to, or just trick the defense. It's like play action, but in reverse.
But it's not really just him. You still got Michael Collins in the backfield too.
Yeah, well, they've seen a lot of good. Like I said, their running game has blown up since Jackson got the nod as a starter.
Yeah.
So I think we agree the Ravens win the division. I think they beat the Browns and lock it up.
Yeah.
So
I would like that, but I don't.
Well, Jay's a Chargers fan, so he has some ties to this game.
It's gonna be. It's really, if we don't win our division and get the home field advantage, I'm not really gonna be that upset because we've been winning on the road majority of our time. Even home games, I don't like home games at all.
Well, I think it's just because the fan base in LA hasn't really. Well, they're in Carson right now. They're playing in a soccer stadium. They're not really playing in a football stadium. So give it time.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll build our fan base off this year, and then.
It takes time, I think, when you relocate a team. Even if it's within the same state, you're going to have that issue of bringing a fan base along with you.
Yeah.
But if you look at the last time I remember a sports team moving and having a fan base, happen fairly quickly was when the Seattle Supersonics moved to Oklahoma City, and they brought Kevin Durant with them. So with the star power that the Chargers have, they can have a pretty strong fan base. They can win some games, and that can accumulate a fan base pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So moving on to the next game, Titans-Colts, AFC South title on the line, or not AFC South, but a wild card spot on the line. The Texans locked that division up already.
Yeah, I think that's going to be an actually really good game.
What's odd to me is how that division has turned inside out year in and year out. So the Jaguars were arguably the best team in the NFL for a stretch last year. Definitely the best defense in the NFL towards the playoffs, and gave the Patriots a run for their money in the AFC Championship game. So I think it's odd to see a division like that's so fluid give the AFC. It shows that the AFC has some parity in it, that there's a lot of turnover with good teams and bad teams, and how quickly you can go from one to the next in that conference. I imagine the Titans aren't going to be as strong because Mariota's hurt right now. I don't know that he'll play it. If he does, he won't be at 100%. But he's always hurt.
Who's the backup quarterback right now?
Blaine Gabbert.
He was the backup quarterback for the Cardinals for a while.
Yeah, he was a first-round pick. He went to Missouri. He was the starter after Chase Daniel had left and taken Missouri to a BCS bowl at the time. But yeah, Blaine Gabbert was a wasted first-round pick by the Jaguars like 10 years ago. He's bounced around from San Francisco to Arizona to back. He was in Jacksonville for a while, but he's capable. He understands that offense under Mike Vrabel, but I don't see that.
If they get a good offensive line to protect him, he could do some damage.
They have one of the best lines in football in Tennessee. Yeah. So, but Mariota still finds a way to get hurt every year.
Yeah.
So he's at risk of being as much of a bust as Gabbert has been. Now Mariota is obviously talented and as a Heisman winner and has done a lot of stuff. I don't know that he won a Heisman. He might have gotten. I think he did. He did win a Heisman. So he's got the pedigree to be on the right track. But I don't know that he's found his path yet as an NFL quarterback. That team's follows suit with him, where they're either going to go 9-7 and be talented but not talented enough. Corey Davis has kind of been spotty. Derrick Henry's been great here lately. They're going to rely on him tomorrow a lot, but I think the Colts are just too hot. I think they're going to come into the playoffs with luck.
T.Y. Hilton, he's
T.Y. Hilton's been great,
catching long fucking passes.
So I think Colts win that game. I don't know, how do you feel about that?
I know it's going to be a good game, but I think the Colts will probably take it out. The passing game, Andrew Luck's been on fire.
Yeah, he's been really good this year. Games. I think he wins Comeback Player of the Year.
Yeah, after coming back after that injury. Yeah.
What's been so not surprising but impressive is how quickly he's gelled with the guys who he hasn't played with in a while. That receiving core is depleted, and they aren't the same team they were when he was there in 2014 and 15. So
I guess the whole team is in just playoff mode.
Trying
to get on the same page so they can.
I'm excited to see how that game plays out. I think the Colts get in there more of a threat. They'll play either the Texans or the Patriots depending on how the 2-3 seeds fall, and we'll use that game next. So I think the Texans end up falling to the 3 seed. I think the Patriots beat the Jets and go to the 2 seed. And if the Texans end up being the 3 seed and play a division rival, that game's a toss-up for me. I don't know how that plays out either way, no matter if Houston's home or not.
Yeah.
Deshaun Watson has no playoff experience, so I'm curious to see if he gets back to that Clemson playoff mode he was in when he was in college. He tore Alabama up 2 years in a row.
The way I think about it, since he never been in the playoff situation, so like he's going to get experience off it. If he does really good, he's going to get ahead of steam and actually build confidence off that.
Deshaun Watson, there's no doubt in my mind that he'll be ready for a playoff game, but I wonder that if he's going up against a guy like Andrew Luck, he's going to have to bring his A game.
Yeah. Which he has to play. He has to play on point, and every play that he does, it's going to be. I mean, he's a great quarterback. Even his record shows it.
Well, I think I see DeAndre Hopkins going off in a playoff game and blowing up, and he could have a run like Larry Fitzgerald had back in 2010 or 2009 when the Cardinals went to the Super Bowl and almost he should have beat the Steelers had it not been for Santonio Holmes.
Yeah.
So the NFC picture is a lot more clear at this point going into Week 17. We know the Saints have the 1 seed locked up.
Yeah.
We know the Cowboys have the 4 seed and the NFC East locked up.
AFC is just a straight up toss up.
Yeah, because the 1 seed's up in the air. The Chargers, if the Chargers win, Chiefs lose. Chargers get 1 seed. Chiefs win, they get 1 seed. Chargers get 5. And then if they're a wild card team with the second best record in the conference, it's going to be interesting to see how they play on the road. You said already that the Chargers probably going to be a better team on the road than at home.
Yeah.
So that may be an advantage for them. But
I mean, that bye week will help us out, if anything.
Yeah, every team wants that bye week. And home field advantage, even if it hasn't been your best friend this season, would be very, very nice given the weather you get in Carson, California this time of year. All right, so the NFC, we have the Bears and the Rams fighting for the 2-3 seeds. I think the Rams end up winning. They played the 49ers. If they win, they lock it up.
That's gonna be like an exciting one, just because of the fact that Todd Gurley's gonna be out.
Todd Gurley's out, but Goff isn't, and they have a lot on the line. It's either take your bye week this week and sit your starters and risk, being a 3 seed and being on the road in the second round of the playoffs, or you win the game in San Francisco, you lock in the 2 seed, at least you get home field for 1 game.
Oh yeah, that's right.
So the Bears are playing Minnesota. Minnesota has a lot more.
The 49ers defense is kind of iffy though.
Their defense is terrible. They're going to be the number 1 seed or the number 1 pick in the draft if they lose and the Cardinals win. They're one of the worst teams in the NFL.
I mean, it's like an underdog defense.
You're playing playoff spoiler, but I don't think that you have to rely on you don't have to expect the Rams to overlook this game. They're going to go into it knowing that they can lock in a bye and home field for the most part. Yeah. So I see the Rams winning that game easily. I do. Yeah. I could be completely wrong, but I do think the Rams win that game. So other than the Rams game, the most exciting game in the NFC playoff picture this week will be the Vikings-Bears because the Vikings get in, or when they're in, and they lock in a 6 seed with a team that could make a run, a dangerous 6 seed, because they'll end up playing the Bears again in Chicago the following week if they win this week.
Yeah.
So if the Bears win, they will effectively knock the Vikings out if the Eagles win. So it's the NFC's a little bit more clear. You have 2 teams fighting for the 6 seed because it'll either be the Eagles or the Vikings.
Yeah.
The 5 seed's already locked up by Seattle. The 4 seed's already locked up by Dallas. And then 2 and 3 between LA and Chicago. So I'm a Saints fan, full disclosure, but I think the Saints have a pretty good chance at winning this conference this year, better than they did last year. That's who I think ends up winning that, but we'll get to that later. But at the Saints right now, they're looking at a pretty easy 2-week run, but they're going to play Carolina this week, and they're not playing Drew Brees. They're going to start Teddy Bridgewater. I can't imagine Kamara and Ingram get a lot of carries, save their legs. So you're looking at effectively a 2-week bye for New Orleans, and every game leading up to the Super Bowl will be played in the Superdome. They're 5-0 in the playoffs under Sean Payton in the Superdome, so they play really well there. I expect them to continue that trend.
Yeah.
So we'll see. All right, so this is the end of the year, and with the end of the year, it's the award season in the NFL, and this stuff's as glamorous as the Emmys or the Oscars or the Grammys. And a lot of these guys almost run campaigns after they're done to get themselves voted as by the journalist in the NFL
Yeah.
to win these awards by the AP. So, Offensive Rookie of the Year this year is probably one of the more exciting debates to have. I think we have arguably the best running back to come out into the NFL in the last 15 years. At least since Adrian Peterson was drafted in 08 or 06, something like it might have been 06. I don't know. But when Peterson came out, he was immediately the best running back in the NFL. Yeah. If there's a team that was or a guy you were going to build your team around at that point in the NFL at that position, it was Adrian Peterson. And Minnesota did. They had a lot of success off of that. Saquon Barkley has been arguably that good.
Yeah.
Because Saquon Barkley has,
if not better.
Yeah, because he catches the ball too.
Yeah.
And right now, if you look at the running backs in the NFL, even given how strong the class was last year, because last year Kamara, Kareem Hunt, Christian McCaffrey, there was a handful of guys that came out last year. I can't even name all of them, but there's so many running backs that had come out last year that made the NFL more run-based for the first time in almost 10 years.
Yeah.
So with that influx of talent, to see Saquon come in this year as a rookie, a year behind those guys, and almost surpass what they're capable of now with a year of experience. There was a game where the Saints played the Giants this year, and I thought it'd be a great matchup to watch Kamara and Barkley, but Barkley set the tone early on. And I think seeing him in those kind of battles, and every running back right now in the NFL, these young running backs, when they face each other like that, it's exciting to watch them take the game over, because Kamara does that, Barkley does that. It's the entire offense in New York flows through him. And Eli has had arguably his best year in multiple years. Now, the Giants aren't anything special this year, but Eli, and granted a lot of his yards have come in garbage time, has more passing yards than Drew Brees. So that's pretty special. I mean, he's a top 10 passer in the NFL. You wouldn't think of Eli Manning, but a lot of that is a byproduct of the running game Barkley has given them. Because there was a lot of seasons where they were all but there. They just needed a running game.
Yeah.
Defense was strong.
Most of the time, they just had fullbacks.
Well, they had, what was the guy? Brandon Jacobs there for a while.
Yeah,
Tiki Barber was there for a long time. But since those guys were there, they haven't had a running game. Rashad Jennings was there for a while. I think they used a first-round pick on him. So that Saquon has been a talent that you don't see come into the league very often.
Yeah. You need, first tackle, first person that hits him always breaks out of there.
Yep.
He's breaking tackles every time he gets the ball. He's a beast. His legs are bigger than my chest.
Yeah, I think Saquon is probably the best built athlete in the NFL.
Yeah. Powerhouse.
He's a big guy. I really call him a brick shit house.
Yeah.
So.
Not made out of shit.
No, but bricks. A brick shit house. A shit house is like a porta potty in the 1940s, apparently.
Yeah.
I wasn't there though.
An outhouse. Yeah.
Shit house.
Shit house.
So, Barkley has some pretty stiff competition this year in Baker Mayfield. I think Mayfield wins this just based on the aesthetic of the quarterback in the NFL, the hype that follows him. He's also a Heisman winner. He was the number 1 pick in the draft. He literally made Cleveland, and if he wins this weekend, which I don't think he will, but he has a chance to make Cleveland an over 500 team. And if you would have told me that coming into the season, I would have said you're full of shit. Like, there's no way Baker Mayfield is that talented. But not single-handedly, with the help of guys like Jarvis Landry and Nick Chubb. He's done it, but was it Nick Chubb? Bradley Chubb. Nick Chubb. It's Nick Chubb. Bradley Chubb's the guy in Denver. So, yeah, so I think Baker's probably going to win this award just because his team was more successful than New York this year. But New York has the best foundation they could ask for. They have 2 of the best skill players in the NFL.
Yeah.
Odell and him will be around for a long time in New York.
Like, just player stats, I think Saquon will probably get it. Just player stats alone, not considering the team and their record and everything like that. Baker Mayfield, he had a shitty start of the season.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't completing passes. I mean, some of the games he was pretty close. Like, first game whenever he played the Steelers, that was a good game. They tied it up, and no one really thought that. They had major predictions for him that he's going to be one of the greatest and one of the best. But the coaching staff kind of messed around with him and played him on things that he didn't really know a lot about. It wasn't in his comfort zone that he usually made the passes or anything like that.
Well, yeah, you saw they fired Todd Haley and Hugh Jackson halfway through the season this year.
Kind of messed with his development process as a up and coming quarterback.
Yeah, Hugh Jackson, I don't know why they gave him another chance this year. He didn't win a game last year. He won one game the year before. I mean, that's about as bad as it gets in the NFL. You could literally, if you put any of us in that position, or either of us in that position, there's a good chance we would have won one game with an NFL roster in 32 tries.
I bet, damn, I won too.
Well, so my pick, I would probably prefer Barkley to win the award this year, just given how talented he is and how much success he had this year with as little help as he had around him. Odell was really wishy-washy, and Eli was great, but because Saquon was great.
Yeah.
So I would have liked to have seen a Saquon on a roster that had a Pat Mahomes or a Drew Brees or a team that doesn't have to rely on running the ball 35 times a game to have any offense.
I think the game right now, like the Ravens play the Browns, don't they?
Mm-hmm.
So they got beat. The Ravens beat the Browns last game. And
yeah.
Right now, Baker Mayfield, if he wants to win that MVP, if he beats the Ravens and puts up good numbers against the Ravens defense, then
yeah, I think he wins the award. I think he locks it up.
Because that'll show that he actually has a lot of potential, and once he starts getting comfortable in the pocket and tossing the ball,
he lives on that hype, though. I think that Mayfield has a tendency to live in the moment, to exceed expectations in those moments of you call him clutch. He's just really good at leading his team into victory.
He won a lot of games in Oklahoma.
Yeah,
and he felt how bad losses felt in Cleveland first start of the season.
And he didn't start the year there. They had played the Steelers, they had played the Saints, and then I forget who they played after that.
Yeah.
And Tyrod Taylor started.
Oh, that's right.
But Tyrod Taylor got a concussion, and that was the end of his time in Cleveland, I think, effectively. He'll probably get a starting job somewhere else, or at least a good backup job somewhere else next year, but Baker Mayfield locked that job up, and he should have had it from the jump. So Mayfield, from the perspective of him sitting for 2 weeks, and Darnold and Josh Allen and all these other rookie quarterbacks that had come into the league this year starting week 1. I don't know if Allen actually started week 1, but these rookie quarterbacks had a head start on Mayfield, and Mayfield still led rookie quarterbacks this year in passing yards by almost 1,000 yards. He had the lowest amount of interceptions among those quarterbacks, 11. And he had like 10 more touchdowns than the next closest guy.
Yeah.
So Mayfield,
he has more rushing yards than he did break Michael Vick's record.
No.
I thought he tied it or something.
No.
No. Josh Allen.
Josh Allen's been running the ball great. Yeah, but no, I was talking about Mayfield.
Oh yeah.
Mayfield's, but he's been. It's what's messed up is to see how well his game is translated from college football to the NFL.
Yeah.
I never expected that spread 5'10" guy to be able to run that kind of offense in the NFL. But guys like Jarvis Landry, Nick Chubb, they make it a lot easier.
Yeah.
And their offensive line is really underrated. He had been sacked really heavily early into the season, but since they fired Haley and Jackson, he's seen an uptick, and I think it's because their offensive coordinator now was their offensive line coach.
Yeah.
So with Greg Williams now, that staff, they've led that team to almost a 500 record.
After they fired the old coaching staff, and actually brought in the stand-in head coaches and stand-in offensive coordinator, what is their record after that? They've been winning, haven't they?
I believe they're like almost 5-2. They went off. So they've been really successful since bringing those to fire and Hugh Jackson and Todd Haley, and it's helped Mayfield.
It's kind of building chemistry between the team.
But I don't expect Greg Williams to be the head coach next year. But what they're seeing now is that Mayfield was being held back, and that he's still capable of being that number 1 pick, or he deserving of it. So Barkley went 2 in the draft. Mayfield went 1. A lot of that was because of need, but I think I don't think that Barkley was a worse player than Mayfield. I just think that a quarterback is a much more important position in the NFL. So Mayfield went 1 for that particular reason, and for that particular reason, he'll win this award because he's a quarterback.
Yeah.
And his team revolves around him, and they won. They won more than New York did. So
yeah.
So my pick, Mayfield, I think wins it. You say Barkley.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Yeah. No,
Defensive Rookie of the Year, though, is a lot more pretty much done.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's really a competition there.
No.
You're a Chargers fan, so this is your guy. Go off. Tell us about him.
Derwin James, one of my favorite safeties ever. I mean, I did like Eric Weddle before they traded him and he got hurt. I mean, he went off. Derwin James, if he actually played with Eric Weddle, I think that would be a really good defense that they could throw.
That'd been awesome.
Yeah, passing defense plus their plus everybody else, every weapon that they have on defense.
Hayward's been a really good corner too for them. So
and just to come under Hayward, and Hayward's like, this is what is his second or third year in there.
I don't know.
He's still pretty young.
Yeah,
young in the league.
Guy.
So like that, it's going to build chemistry in the team that'll build off that. And the Chargers, they're kind of an underrated defense team. They're a lot of pass rush, so they got quickness and pretty young. But I mean, Derwin James, he's playmaker.
Yeah,
he's always in there. I for some reason I always think of him as like the next Troy Polamalu, just being in there, just.
You say that's a good comp, I think, because what Derwin James is good at is playing every position on the field. He can, with the exception of nose tackle, he's gonna line up at linebacker, safety, and corner and lock anybody down that he needs to. He'll cover running backs, tight ends, receivers, slot guys. He can do it all. He's
always in every play that comes out. He's always in there.
So yeah, I think Derwin James has won this award. He locked it up probably 15 weeks ago. He should have been drafted way higher than what he was. Coming out of Florida State, he was probably the most dominant corner since Eric Berry came out of Tennessee. And I don't think that there's going to be much competition for that role or title for a while. He is impressive.
Yeah.
Because every year you see the best safety in the college draft comes out of that SEC mold. And when he came out of Florida State, it reminded me a lot of Myron Rolle, who had been a safety down there for a while. He actually didn't get drafted. He decided to go to Oxford on scholarship for a year and study like neuroscience, which is messed up, but same position, same school, and he had been just as dominant as what Rolle was in college. So Derwin James, Rookie of the Year for defense.
Yeah, go Bolts.
So go Chargers.
Yeah.
All right, so let's stick with the theme of defense. Let's go to Defensive Player of the Year. This award is probably one of the more up in the air awards right now. I think most people would say that Aaron Donald wins this award just based on sheer stats. Defensive tackles don't get 20 sacks a season, and right now he's sitting at 19 and a half.
Yeah.
And he's got 4 more than the next guy. He's got 5 more than J.J. Watt, and J.J. Watt's had a hell of a year.
Yeah. I mean, he's a beast. Like, nobody really can stop him. Like, the pressure every fucking play. He's right in your face.
Yeah, he's intense. But that entire defense is nasty.
Yeah.
Like Ndamukong Suh, Michael Brockers.
You got the veterans, and then you got the rookies coming in behind him that they're just showing them how to actually get through there.
They brought it, but that defense, what I thought was odd, they brought in so much talent this offseason. They got Aqib Talib, which he's done for the year, I think, within
the Broncos.
Well, yeah, he's in the Rams.
Yeah,
he's hurt. He brought him in from Denver, and then Marcus Peters from Kansas City. He has been terrible this year. Given his track record, he should have been phenomenal. But their linebacker play has been great. There's a guy named Littleton that's had a good year for them. But Aaron Donald is the catalyst on that team in general. Todd Gurley's great, but they go as Aaron Donald goes because you can only win so many games running the ball.
Yeah.
You need a defense to go with that, and as flashy as the Rams are, they're still a meat and potatoes team by playing good defense up the middle, stopping the run, and being effective on the ground with Gurley, and that leads to Goff having success. They were a lot more of a threat earlier in the season. It felt like they kind of faded.
Yeah.
Cooper Kupp went down, and it kind of fucked with Jared Goff a little bit.
Yeah.
But I still expect them to win at least one playoff game, and I expect Aaron Donald to be really good.
Yeah.
In that playoff game, I expect him to at least hit 20 sacks tomorrow in that game against San Francisco.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
So he only needs half of one. He might scare a quarterback into falling down.
Yeah, and he just
yelling at him. Ah!
Fumble. Forced fumble. Right there.
He might just be like walking towards the sideline, and the quarterback by him, he falls down and give him that
he
half
throws
sack.
it to him. Interception and a sack.
All right, so we think Aaron Donald wins it, but there's still some competition here. I think Khalil Mack has been really, 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 really fun to watch.
J.J. Watt's been pretty good.
Yeah. Cam Jordan, as a Saints fan, has been dominant. The Saints defense has been as good as any defense in the last 10 weeks in the NFL. They're giving up like less than 15 points a game, and Cam Jordan's probably the biggest reason why.
Yeah.
So
each and every one of them defensive players deserve to win that. Khalil Mack, he's been tearing up.
From my understanding, Donald, Watt, and Khalil Mack have all won before. So this is an award that gets passed around between those guys every year, and it's because they're all really impressive. I imagine that Donald wins it this year just because he's a front runner. It's week 17, and he doesn't have much to lose tomorrow. So, like I said, I don't see him breaking Strahan's sack record of 22.5, but he could. He can go off and get 4 sacks tomorrow, and none of us would be surprised. So
never know. Anything can happen.
Offensive player of the year. We talked a little bit about the team already and one of the guys on that team. So I say Todd Gurley wins offensive player of the year. I think he's been as dominant as anybody in the NFL at his position, especially with the stuff he was. The numbers he was putting up from weeks 1 through week 12 were ridiculous. Ridiculous. They're the way he carried that offense, and they were that explosive. And he's a running back today, where he's not sharing carries. Name the backup in St. Louis. Or L.A. No, I don't either. Yep, I had no idea. No. Probably couldn't tell you where he came from either. So probably it wasn't Oklahoma. If it was from Oklahoma, that'd be pretty cool. But I don't think it was.
Yeah, I think old frog voice Patrick Mahomes will get it.
Kermit
the Frog. Dude, he's been on fire a couple games. I mean, the Baltimore game that they played, it showed that he doesn't.
His arm,
he doesn't like. I mean. When they showed pressure, then he didn't know what the fuck to do.
Well, he scrambles and he makes throws that no one can. He made a no-look pass like 3 weeks ago that was ridiculous. He
threw with his left hand a couple plays, bro.
Yeah,
how can you do that?
He's a superhero. There was a play he made last week where he threw it and he looked down at his hand and shook his head like Booker T because he couldn't believe that he made the throw. What guy does that? We would do that because we would be like, "Oh my God, I'm a superhero."
What? I fucking made it.
But he was a lot like a lot of these other quarterbacks that come into the NFL right now. Where Colin Kaepernick is the one that comes to mind, where they were baseball players.
Yeah.
And Kaepernick threw like 88 miles per hour in baseball, and I think Mahomes throws like 95.
Yeah.
So if you can imagine catching a football from Mahomes, you can imagine.
His dad was a professional
baseball player. Yeah, for the Mets. So. He was a pitcher, I believe. So that runs in the blood.
But, accuracy and everything.
But that arm strength's fun to watch. He's transcendent. He reminds me of Brett Favre, but I think he's a little bit more a victim of the times where he's a spread option quarterback, a spread offense quarterback that relies on
RPOs.
Yeah, and relies on being away from the center. That team is really exciting to watch in Kansas City, but he's no Todd Gurley. But early in the year, we talked about, or we saw how relevant those two teams were. Like they carried every week's storyline.
But rushing, and how many touchdowns he actually had carrying the ball, it's gonna be it. Look, I mean, Patrick Mahomes still rushes and still gets the ball. Like he's still averaging a lot of rushing yards.
Yeah.
So, and it is a toss-up. And like how you said about the what was it? The other quarterback. What was his name?
Who's that?
Baker Mayfield.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield. I mean, it's a quarterback. So like, you have the weapon. You can throw. You can run. You can do that. And Todd Gurley's just a running back. He can catch. He can run. But he is.
Todd Gurley's just a running.
I'm not knocking him at all. But he's.
So it's the same argument we have with Saquon and Baker, where it's the glamorous position wins. But I don't think that Pat Mahomes stands out in a crowd like Saquon does in a crowd. Like Saquon's crowd, or Baker's crowd so Baker's crowd of quarterbacks around him, hands down the best. There is no other quarterback right now that's a rookie that has had as good of a year as Baker. Now, and that's not next year, because I think Sam Darnold's probably made the most progress throughout the season. That Green Bay game last week showed that he can go out there, he can throw for 300 yards. He doesn't have tools around him. If he gets a running back or a receiver that he can work with outside of Ryan Anderson, he's dangerous.
He shows that he can
and he's
go
the
head to head with the best.
He's the youngest too out of the
Aaron
guys.
Rodgers.
Yeah, exactly. So and Aaron Rodgers pooped this year, but
Yeah, poop. But I mean, still, he still got some magic left in him.
yeah, he's gonna win some more games, I'm sure. All right, so you think Mahomes, I think Gurley. So let's go to MVP. MVP is the big turkey leg of all the awards. This is the one that everybody wants.
Gobble gobble.
This is the one that's been really elusive to the guy that I think should win it and will win it, and that's Drew Brees. He has yet to win one in his career, which is bullshit. Bullshit.
I think after he set that record, that makes him
Well, if
on
he
another level.
yeah, if he wins
all passing yards.
yeah, he broke that record this year. So I'm a diehard Saints fan, and the first jersey I ever bought was an Aaron Brooks jersey. Now this is like circa 01, 02. Deuce McAllister was a really fun guy to watch. So all these guys I've watched growing up, there was a point in my life as a Saints fan where 100% of the games I had watched had never been were never quarterbacked by Drew Brees. Now I'm almost 20 years into it, being a fan of the Saints, and like 80% of the games I've watched have been quarterbacked by Drew Brees. And Drew Brees has been as successful with the Saints as anybody has ever been with the Saints. So to see what he's done in that window of time since 06, and to know that he's never won an MVP, given Tom Brady has like 3 of them, and Peyton Manning had 2 or 3 of them in that time frame, it feels like there's almost a sense that they were stolen from him. Yeah. And if Pat Mahomes wins this year, bullshit. Like, yeah, he's trendy. He's great, but he also threw almost 20 picks. It's his second year in the NFL. I'm not saying this is like, oh, it's a career he deserved it, he's earned it over his career. This is a yearly award, but I think Drew Brees has been better this year. He's done what he's needed to do.
Yeah.
When you have the weapons around him, there's a reason Mike Thomas has been so successful coming into the NFL, and Alvin Kamara, and even Ben Watson this year has had a resurgence, because nobody can make a team better than Drew Brees can, with the exception of probably Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers. So when you think about the MVP award, you think about who has given their team the best chance to win every week. Mahomes has been great, but I don't believe he's done that.
He's a young loose cannon that can throw the ball. And then he can throw the ball, run. I think he's just like he's versatile. He adapts to whatever is at him. I mean, granted, their defense isn't really that good in Kansas City because they always put up enough points, but they still outscore the teams.
My fear, though, is that Kansas City is all talk. Like, we hype them up because they're fun to watch, but
they are every year. They always have a really good record.
Yeah, that even led by Alex Smith. Yeah, and playoff. You go ahead.
Oh no, you're good.
But like, so the Chiefs are 1-4 this season against winning teams. They're 11-4 overall. What does that tell you about the teams they're playing? When they play a good team, they lose. So the one team they beat with a winning record, Chargers.
Yeah.
Only team that's relevant to them right now. So that if they get to the playoffs as the 1 seed, yeah, they'll have home field, and Arrowhead's a really hard place to play.
But we beat them.
But you guys have beat them, and that gives you confidence going into Week 17. So I don't think. I mean, I think it plays out that Mahomes wins Offensive Player of the Year, but Brees wins MVP.
Yeah.
Mahomes is a special talent. I'm not trying to knock him. He's fun to watch. He's probably the most fun quarterback to watch right now. But he's not polished yet. He has a long way to go.
Not the MVP status.
No, and it feels like they're giving it to him prematurely because he's been fun to watch on SportsCenter. 7 of 15 weeks this season. He makes great plays, but it doesn't mean he wins games. It doesn't mean he's valuable to his team every week. He struggles in clutch moments or in clutch games to find that same talent level or to express his talent when he does against teams that aren't that good. So he's got to find a way to beat the good teams, just like he beats the sub-500 teams.
Yeah.
All right, so who wins the AFC this year?
I'm going for the Chargers, my main team, man. I got to.
Chargers.
Chargers, baby.
Dookie.
Chargers.
I don't think they win it.
Chargers gonna get it.
No. It's gonna be the Patriots.
Patriots, they don't really have a lot of. No, I don't think they have the depth to get it. I think we can actually beat them.
It's gonna be New England
after their clutch loss for what was it, Josh Gordon?
Yeah, I mean, they don't have receiving talent like they have in the past, and Edelman and Gronk aren't what they once were. But look, Sony Michel is exactly what they need on offense. Tom Brady's still Tom Brady. Their defense isn't that good, but the AFC really isn't that good this year. If the two teams fighting for the 1 seed are going to probably lose 5 games, or one of them will.
Yeah.
Like, the AFC is so much. Like, there was a year the Patriots went 10-6 and didn't even make the playoffs. The year that Brady tore his ACL and Matt Castle, they went 10-6 and didn't make the playoffs. This year, the number 1 seed could be 1 game better. So that shows you how much parity is in the AFC.
Yeah.
I think when we get to the really intense moments in the playoffs, like the divisional round and the championship round, third, fourth quarter, we're going to see Brady be Brady, and we're going to see Brady be Brady, and we're going to see the Patriots be the Patriots. We're going to see them win, and that's what they do in January.
We'll see when it comes. I'm still going with the Chargers, man.
So what makes you think the Chargers have a chance to win this year? What makes this year any different than years past?
They got Mike Williams back that was injured before.
He's great.
Keenan Allen's been doing decent this year. He's been making clutch catches every now and then, but most of the time the defense has been locking in on him. Melvin Gordon, he actually been doing a lot better than last year.
I think
hell
so
of a lot better. Austin Eckler, the backup, he's been pulling his weight. And even the rookie that we picked up, Justin Jackson.
He's been good in their absence.
Some of the games I actually wanted him to play just because of the fact that when they first put him in, whenever Melvin Gordon was injured and Austin Eckler was injured,
he showed up when he needed to. And it was so fun to watch with the Chargers is how competitive they are in every game. And it's been that way since Phillip Rivers has been there. But it seems like even if they're down by 3 touchdowns and there's 5 minutes left, they're going to come back in some capacity.
I like the explosiveness of the offense.
Yeah, they just seem to make plays. And they're the game you catch at 4 o'clock because they're West Coast. It's CBS, and there's no other games on CBS right now. So you get the Chargers, and they're losing 21-7 or 34-21, and it's the third quarter, and you go to change the channel and watch something else because you're not a Chargers fan. And the next morning you wake up and they won. And that happens every year. Every year they start off like 1-6 or 2-5.
And then they make that run.
And they make the playoffs. So I hope this year's different for your sake. I do. I'd love to see the Chargers play in the Super Bowl. I think they're
Phillip Rivers needs a ring.
He needs a ring. He needs a ring. So here's a good question. Who's better quarterback career-wise, Phillip Rivers or Ben Roethlisberger?
Ben Roethlisberger probably, just because of the fact that he won Super Bowl rings and the weaponry that he got.
But the
statistics show there's a lot of they both throw the ball, so they're going to get interceptions. So they're kind of matched up on that. So for me personally, I would take Phillip Rivers.
Yeah, I can see that.
I mean,
but who? So you would take that? Who do they get? Do they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Is my question. Do they both deserve to be in the Hall of Fame? Because
if he wins the Super Bowl ring, yes, I believe that he should.
Okay.
For the time that he spent in there and the yards that he put in the touchdowns, the stats that he just put in there,
Well, let's round out that draft class. What about Eli Manning? Because he has 2 rings.
Maybe. Yeah, it depends. I think they probably would put him in there just because of the fact that he was one of the best Giants quarterbacks.
Yeah, and Eli's quiet. He doesn't. I mean, he's not going to be flashy, but I believe Ben Roethlisberger won 1 Super Bowl, the San Antonio Holmes Super Bowl with the Cardinals.
Yeah.
The first one against the Seattle Seahawks, he was a rookie, and trust me, he won 15 games as a rookie quarterback. That's phenomenal. He also won a Super Bowl. Phenomenal. That defense that year with Joey Porter and whoever else was on that defense, they were ridiculous.
Troy Polamalu.
Yeah, so they were ridiculous.
Yeah.
They should have won that Super Bowl without Ben Roethlisberger.
That's when they still had fucking James Harrison, too.
Yeah, well, I don't know if he was there that early. I was like 06, 05.
All right. Because I know he's pretty old.
Yeah. So, AFC, you say Chargers, I say Patriots. Back on subject here.
I can see the Patriots, but I mean,
you don't think the Chiefs have a chance? You don't think the Ravens have a chance? Texans.
The Ravens do have a chance. The way they played against the Chargers, yeah. The Chargers just need to step their game up and change some things up. I mean, they're best defense in the NFL.
My feeling is that the best three teams in the NFC are better than any team in the AFC right now. My feeling that if you put anybody in the playoff picture from the AFC up against the Bears, the Rams, or the Saints on a neutral field, chances are they win those games. The Bears, the Rams, or the Saints. Even the Cowboys would probably be a 2 seed in the AFC, like the way they played this year. So I see the Chargers being a threat. I see the Patriots being who they always are, and I see the Ravens being a threat because they can run the ball and play defense.
Yeah. The Texans, I think they're
Deshaun Watson has that clutch gene, so yeah, they could make a run back.
They're the sleeper right now.
All right, so I say Patriots. Jay says Chargers for the AFC. For the NFC, I say Saints. That's a given.
I'd say the Seahawks right now.
Seahawks are really hot, and Russell Wilson's played as well as he's ever played in his career.
Coming off that win at home against the Chiefs.
Dark horse candidate for MVP. All right. So yeah, you say Seahawks, I say Saints. What makes you think the Seahawks have the defense and running game to be able to win in January on the road?
The Seahawks, they actually been running the ball pretty well the last couple weeks.
Yep, I agree.
Russell Wilson, the veteran, coming in there. He scrambles, clutch throws. And you got Doug Baldwin. He's hurt all the time, but you still got him in there coming in to make some plays. Their defense is nothing.
Bobby Wagner's been great.
Talk down on. They do give up big plays, but I don't think they'll give up the actual explosiveness of a lot of these, because they shut down the Chiefs pretty well on a lot of explosive plays.
That was a good matchup. That was a pre-Super Bowl matchup for some people.
This is the Russell Wilson that we're seeing playoff ready. Russell Wilson. Before he was just playing games like maybe actually win. He just needs to win to get to the playoffs. Now he actually has a chance to actually get there and make a wild card spot.
Do you think that Russell Wilson is a bigger reason at why they had Super Bowl success and all the success they had in the 2 years they went than he was given credit for? Because he threw a pick that lost them one, but had he not, he could have 2 rings.
Yeah. A lot of people go off of what could and should have happened during those times. At that time he wanted it. He wanted it.
That wasn't his call either.
He's going to force it. But
he was young.
Yeah.
It happens. And I think in those moments it's hard to say that he failed. He did throw a pick, and it's obvious that they lost the game, and that's how it'll be written in history. But Russell Wilson's had probably the best start to a career a quarterback could ask for outside of what Big Ben had success-wise early on. So kudos to Russell Wilson. I think he'll have a good run in the playoffs. I'd like to see that matchup with him in Dallas. I think they beat Dallas in Dallas. I think if the Seahawks get to play LA in LA, it's a division game, and that could go either way.
Under the head coaching staff of Pete Carroll. That guy, he's...
So there's a good chance that Seattle does make its way to New Orleans if that's where the championship game is. It could play out like this. Say the Seahawks have the 5 seed locked up, and say the Vikings beat the Bears. It'll be Vikings-Bears first round, and it'll be Seahawks-Cowboys.
Okay.
So say Vikings, I see the Bears beating the Vikings at home and moving on and playing LA. And then if whoever wins the Cowboys-Seattle game would go to New Orleans. I think the Saints.
Who would you take? Seattle or Cowboys?
I would take Seattle and Dallas. I don't think the Cowboys are playoff ready. I think they're all hype. Okay. So as good as Elliott's been this year, a lot of that's come against not very good competition. I don't think they're going to be able to beat good teams. They beat the Saints at home in the Saints' worst game of the season. You gave them motivation. I think the Saints want to see them come back to New Orleans so they can knock them out of the playoffs. But I think Seattle beats them to the punch.
Yep.
So I say my predictions for the Super Bowl were Patriots-Saints, and I think the Saints win. I'm allowed to be a little bit biased. They're the 1 seed. I think they have a real chance. So for me to say as a Saints fan, the Saints win the Super Bowl is my prediction. Might have been my prediction in Week 1, but it's kind of come true for me this year to see them have the success that they've had, and I think they beat the Patriots. A depleted Patriots team at the end of a dynasty run that they've had for 15, 20 years. I don't know how much more Brady and Belichick we're going to get. And I think if they lose a Super Bowl, at least they'll go out in glory. They're not going to go out in the first round.
How would you feel about an LA Super Bowl?
That would be exactly what the NFL would want.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, man, LA Chargers, LA Rams, different conferences. But
It could.
there's revenue right there.
Yeah,
They're getting a lot of money.
the Super Bowl is in
Atlanta.
Atlanta this year, and if it were in the Coliseum or anywhere on the West Coast, I would say that the NFL would have the bank set up on that one already.
Yeah.
But the resurgence of a Chicago team that has a defense that already beat LA, they get a chance to play them again. Chances are they mess Jared Goff's whole life up again. Khalil Mack would eat Jared Goff's face if he had another chance. That's my opinion. I don't care who's the 3 seed, where that game's held.
I would drop on the ground and ball up. Field position.
I would ask Khalil Mack to hold my hand. Like if I ever encountered him, just because if he's holding my hand, I still look stronger. Like
I picture this as like the replacements. Whenever that guy's like, "Hey man, you're so and so. Can I get an autograph after this game? You got it, Scab!" And he just straight up throws him on the ground, just like he's like, "Oh damn, I met him. I met him."
Can we talk about how the deaf guy in that movie knew when they snapped the ball?
Yeah.
I would love to know.
I think he just watches the ball just as it snaps.
If I was a cornerback and you were in the slot and you were watching for the ball to be snapped, I would literally tackle you every play. Because I can. And there's no way you're going to be able to react. You're going to be looking. And there's going to be a delay. Not to, hey, you know what? He could have been the best football player on that team. They were a bunch of scabs.
Yeah.
But that's just a curiosity of mine in that movie, how he heard and how he knew how to dance with everybody. Like maybe it's just my ignorance to the blind community or the deaf community. The deaf community might be hella good at dancing.
Is he just
I don't know.
Let me just slow dance, even though it's like EDM. Fist pump it.
Sandstorms on in his head.
Sandstorms on every time. Every time.
That's his theme song. All right, so I say Saints. Who do you think wins the Super Bowl?
Chargers, baby. I'm going for it.
Go figure.
All in right here. All in. Got to.
Well, I hope they at least sponsor you and give you a jersey through like the mail, because I think you may be one of the few 5% of the.
It's like a unicorn.
Yeah.
You never see Chargers fans.
No.
You only see them on TV, but in person.
And I'm pretty sure they're extras at LA Chargers, like higher.
They're paid to wear this stuff.
They go out and get.
They don't even watch the games.
No. Like that's why half of their fan base is like on their phones the entire game. Garbage. No. I think the Chargers have a really good chance of winning the Super Bowl this year, but I don't know.
They'll be on their phones texting, "Oh, we just won the Super Bowl, baby." Yeah.
All right, so that pretty much wraps up our first episode of Jaybird and the Ginge.
Yeah.
We're gonna end every segment or every episode with a segment called Get Wrecked, and it means our recommendations for one song of the week. So Jay, what is your song of the week?
I'm going with my name, J. Cole. Not Jaybird, but J. Cole. It's gonna be No Role Models. Check it out. It's a really good song.
Off the old Forest Hills album.
Yeah.
If you haven't heard that album, you should probably listen to it every day like I do.
Yeah.
So for me, I picked a Black Keys song off their Rubber Factory album called 10 a.m. Automatic. It's probably one of my favorite blues songs that have come out in the last 20 years. Black Keys are a really good band. Dan Auerbach's amazing, so is Patrick Carney.
Yeah.
But for the end of the week, or end of the segment here, we'll see you guys next week. I'm going to throw it out. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching Jaybird and the Ginge.
Yeah. Ah!